Jim Jordan, are you going to support him?
No.
You're not. Why not?
I'm supporting Kevin McCarthy.
Several days later.
All right, guys, so I have some great news for you, okay? We have to give you an update on the GOP Speaker of the House situation, as Jim Jordan, who is the nominee to be the GOP Speaker of the House, had to do a lot of work this weekend in order to convince his colleagues to elect him as the Speaker of the House. Now, he needs 218 votes in order to win, and when he first was elected, he was far short of that.
I really do believe that Steve Scalise, the way they dealt with him yesterday, was wrong.
You think Jordan should have endorsed him right away?
Yeah, in a much more aggressive way.
What is your level of concern about Jim Jordan?
I think I laid that out yesterday. So.
And has that changed at all?
Not overnight.
Should there be another candidate in your view?
There should be.
Okay, he was around 124 votes or so among his colleagues, and the GOP went home for the weekend, and Jim Jordan has been busy working his colleagues and trying to win them over and to get their votes for Speaker of the House. And it looks like, from what we've seen, the opposition to Jim Jordan becoming Speaker is crumbling, okay? And he is getting his colleagues on board with him becoming Speaker of the House. For example, you have Mike Rogers, who got a lot of attention this weekend because he was a Republican that claimed that, hey, he will work with Democrats to elect a speaker because he was still salty about Kevin McCarthy getting ousted, okay? And working with Democrats to elect a speaker basically means that it's going to be Hakeem Jeffries, who is going to become Speaker, a.k.a. Nancy Pelosi, because Hakeem Jeffries is a puppet. He's clearly not smart enough to be Speaker. He only repeats the same lines over and over again about extreme MAGA Republicans. Best believe electing Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker is like electing Nancy Pelosi. She's still running things. Let's not get it twisted. And Republicans, again, got very, very, very upset about this idea of Mike Rogers, who, again, tried to fight Matt Gaetz over Kevin McCarthy becoming Speaker in the first place. I mean, they were pissed, okay? And it looks like, again, Mike Rogers heard an earful, or he got an earful from the conservative base over the weekend, and he has all of a sudden flipped his vote from no to yes. And again, this is just one example of some of the people that Jim Jordan has been busy working on to get support.
Yeah, this is actually pretty important news here. He says that he plans to force a vote on the House floor by noon tomorrow, even if he does not have the 217 votes he needs to be elected Speaker. And at the moment, it seems like he does not have the votes, even though he has successfully managed to flip 3 key holdouts at this moment. But even if he's short, he says he plans to go to the floor, and he promised that tomorrow the House will elect a Speaker.
Ann Wagner and Mike Rogers publicly saying they would support us. 2 great members who do all kinds of great work. So that was really big. So I feel real good about the momentum we have, and I think we're real close. So the vote's going to be tomorrow.
Will you go to the floor even if you don't have 217 votes locked down?
That's how our great system works, and we will go to the floor tomorrow. It's not about pressuring anybody. It's just about we got to have a speaker. You can't open the House and do the work of the American people and help our dearest and closest friend Israel if you don't have a speaker. So we get the speaker, we get the House open, and we get to work on the resolution and supplemental for Israel. And we get back to work for the American people. And that's what I'm committed to doing, and I think it's going to happen tomorrow.
Because you had said before you want to have 217 first.
Well, I do think that's ideal, but as one of my colleagues said in the room, I don't know if there's any way to ever get that in the room. Mm-hmm. I would love that, but I think the only way to do this is the way the founders intended, is you have the vote tomorrow. We've set it for 12 o'clock, and I feel real good about it.
Will you have more than one ballot if you don't get to 217 on the first?
We're going to elect the speaker tomorrow. That's what I think is going to happen. We got to come together. We have to unify. We have to come together.
And a key acknowledgement there that he doesn't think anybody can get 217 votes initially. So we could see a replay of what happened in January when Kevin McCarthy went to the floor on 15 ballots. Ultimately, he got elected. But at that point, he had opposition from the more conservative hardliners in the House Republican Conference. Those hardliners, many of them who voted out Kevin McCarthy in historic fashion, are supporting Jim Jordan. The people who are opposed to Jordan at the moment are more of the establishment, more moderate members, some from swing districts. Will they be the ones holding up their hands, voting for somebody else, and trying to scuttle Jim Jordan's ascension on the House floor? That could open them up to a relentless and intense pressure campaign from Jordan supporters, including the former president. Will they be able to withstand that pressure? Jordan's allies don't think they will, think that they'll ultimately come his side. But as you're seeing here, Dana, we're headed to a significant potential confrontation on the floor here after 2 weeks of Republican infighting and chaos and paralysis in the chamber. Can they get the chamber moving again? Jordan is betting they can by tomorrow night.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Jim Jordan is going to take this to the House floor, and he's going to have a vote. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what Jim Jordan said and kind of what I'm going to expect moving forward here, but Democrats are already having a full-blown meltdown, right? They're already having a meltdown over the possibility of Jim Jordan being speaker. Like, for example, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says, quote, the idea that GOP are about to nominate Jim Jordan of all people. Yes, January 6th, Jim Jordan, ban all abortions from contraception, Jim Jordan, abuse cover-up, Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House is an attempt to save their majority. They deserve to lose, right? So again, these people, you know, they're upset, right? I mean, you know, there's not much they can do about it. Maybe they could try to pull the fire alarm again, right? Which, again, is something I want to see happen in regards to Jamal Bowman being removed. I haven't forgot about that, and we should still be demanding that Republicans do something about that. But, again, you know, he's almost there, right? He's almost there. Now, apparently, these are some of the holdouts, okay, as of 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time, according to DC Drano. You got Don Bacon. You have Mario Diaz-Balart, Carlos Jimenez, Frank Lucas, John Rutherford, Mike Simpson, Steve Womack, and Ken Buck. Okay, these are the holdouts. Okay, so you can probably drop, you know, if you can get 4 or 5 of these guys, then he's good to go. Okay, and that's basically the situation that we're in as of right now. Now, what do I think about this? Okay, what I think? Well, what I believe, and again, these things are hard to predict, guys, but I think ultimately at the end of the day that Jim Jordan will be elected speaker. And why do I say that? It's because there's no better option at this point for Republicans, especially when it comes to the so-called moderate Republicans, and I wouldn't even call them that, or Republicans from swing districts, whatever you want to call them, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, what the conservative base wants, okay, I don't care what people say, they want somebody like Jim Jordan, right? They want an actual real conservative as speaker. Jim Jordan is not far right, okay, like they try to frame him as. He is where the base is at, and it doesn't make sense for conservatives to have a speaker that does not represent what most conservatives want. And we're going to figure this out tomorrow, right? Because these people, these, 8 individuals or so, they're going to put their jobs on the line if they choose not to vote for Jim Jordan, right? They refuse to vote for Jim Jordan, then they're going to answer to their constituents who, if I was a bet man, I would have to bet that most of their constituents probably do support Jim Jordan, and they're going to have to answer for why they didn't vote for him. Because if you don't vote for Jim Jordan, then it's like a vote for Democrats, okay? Because that's ultimately what some of these Republicans have been alluding to, that, hey, we'll work with Democrats. So again, you rather Nancy Pelosi or Hakeem Jeffries be speaker, 2 people who are far left, right? Because there are no moderate Democrats, right? Or very few moderate Democrats. You'd rather have a far left Democrat speaker than to have Jim Jordan, who is a representative of the base. Okay, again, so, I personally think that they're going to fold under pressure because the pressure campaign against these Republicans is going to be absolutely insane to think about. Like, imagine having Trump and all the other Republicans, come together and rally against these individuals, plus the base. Like, the whole country is going to be against these guys. And, yeah, they're they're not going to be able to stomach it, right? They're not going to be able to stomach it. They're going to fold like origami, right? So I think that Jim Jordan is ultimately going to win. That's my prediction. Now, I could be wrong, okay? Anything can happen in politics. Politics is really a game that is unpredictable. So, you know, I could very well be wrong. I mean, Jim Jordan could not be elected speaker. These people could continue to hold out because they'd much rather see Kevin McCarthy or a Democrat. But we'll see. Now, one thing I will say, because I can't help but to say this, is that, you know, I want people to understand that even though we have a better person in that seat than somebody like Kevin McCarthy, I would not have my standards be too high. And the reason why is because I'm already hearing things from Jim Jordan that I already don't like, okay? And just because I like Jim Jordan as a person doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be on board with everything. He's already talking more about, you know, securing funding and protecting other people's borders rather than protecting our borders. And I just don't like the fact that it seems like no matter who we get, the priority always seems to be other countries over us. Right now, again, Jim Jordan in the past said he's against the Ukraine aid, but again, he added some caveats where he was like, well, you know, they need to be able to properly define where the money has already been and, you know, what is the end goal here, where we're going with this. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if he did cut some deals with some colleagues to get him on board in the sake of unity, and he's going to be the guy that takes the backlash when they ultimately do get back to business as usual of Republicans going along with, you know, protecting other people's borders instead of ours. I hope that's not the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because ultimately, at the end of the day, again, you know, the Uniparty has more representatives than the outsiders, right? And I think that Jim Jordan is an outsider. I think that if he could have it his way, he would not continue to send money overseas supporting these, you know, other countries protecting their borders, but he may just be forced to do so in the sake of unity, and he's going to have to take the heat for it when Congress continues to be business as usual, right? I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way it goes, that Jim Jordan, because of the fact that, again, you have more establishment and uniparty politicians than outsiders, wouldn't be surprised if Jim Jordan is only a marginal upgrade over Kevin McCarthy, and he had to make some severe compromises in order to become speaker, again, just for the sake of unity, just for the sake of getting things going again, and just for the sake of unifying the party and moving forward. So again, I wouldn't have my expectations too high. Jim Jordan, I think, is an upgrade over Kevin McCarthy, but in regards to how he actually governs or administrates, I only expect marginal improvements because, quite honestly, we just don't have the numbers, right? And that's just the reality of the situation. I don't expect Jordan to really go too hard against Democrats, just given the current situation that he also will have to deal with moderate Republicans, or so-called moderate Republicans. I really just call them establishment, uniparty Republicans instead. As well too, on top of Democrats, and that can be a tall task to deal with both of these entities. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.